Good morning, Little Masters, and welcome back to today's Tolkien Times. I'm the Man of the West, also from the Prancing Pony podcast. Let's get started with Week 42's Word Nerd Wednesday. Now, last series we spent most of our time looking at words from A Long-Expected Party, the readings from our Third Age Thursday sessions. But we did wrap up the series with a couple of weeks looking at words from Aldarion and Erendis, including 7 different words in Week 41. Now, I ended with a teaser that if I'd had more time, I'd do a Word Nerd Wednesday on the fragrant trees of Númenor. So guess what? Now, a few times last series during our Second Age Saturday readings through Aldarion and Erendis, we came across the mention of Oyolaire. Now, we first saw it in Week 38's reading with this. Here must be told of the custom that when a ship departed from Númenor over the great sea to Middle-earth, a woman, most often of the captain's kin, should set upon the vessel's prow the green bough of return, and that was cut from the tree Oyolaire, that signifies ever-summer, which the Eldar gave to the Númenorians, saying that they set it upon their own ships in token of friendship with Osse and Uinen. The leaves of that tree were evergreen, glossy, and fragrant, and it throve upon sea air. Now, in that episode's discussion, I read one of my favorite paragraphs in Unfinished Tales that, if you'll indulge me, I'll read again. At the center of the Bay of Eldanna was the most beautiful of all the havens of Númenor, Eldalonde the Green, and hither in the earlier days the swift white ships of the Eldar of Eressëa came most often. All about that place, up the seaward slopes and far into the land, grew the evergreen and fragrant trees that they brought out of the west, and so throve there that the Eldar said that almost it was fair as a haven in Eressëa. They were the greatest delight of Númenor, and they were remembered in many songs long after they had perished forever, for few ever flowered east of the land of gift. Oyolaire and Lairolosse, Nísimaldar, Verdarianna, Taniquilasse, and Yavannamire, with its globed and scarlet fruits. Flower, leaf, and rind of those trees exuded sweet scents, and all that country was full of blended fragrance. Therefore it was called Nísimaldar, the fragrant trees. Many of them were planted and grew, though far less abundantly, in other regions of Númenor. But only here grew the mighty golden tree Malanorne, reaching after 5 centuries, a height scarce less than it achieved in Eressëa itself. Now, there's a whole section after that about the Malorn and how it came to Middle-earth. Let's just say that Aldarion did do some good things too. But it's that first part of the paragraph, the bit about Nísimaldar, the fragrant trees, that I'd like to talk about on today's Word Nerd Wednesday. Now, first, just a heads up that I actually won't be doing word nerdery on Oyolaire itself, but only because I'll be covering that in 2 more weeks after we get a closer look at the green bough of return. So it's another episode filled with bite-sized word nerdery. Nísimaldar is translated directly in the text for us as meaning fragrant trees, and it would seem that this is the only use of Nísima, meaning fragrant. However, Alda is something we just looked at a few weeks ago in the most recent Word Nerd Wednesday. Aldarion's name means son of trees. Now, at the time, I could only find one other appearance of that element, and it was in the name Aldemir, the 23rd king of Gondor, whose name means tree jewel, but I was clearly not paying attention. Not only is in Nísimaldar, but it is also in Culumalda, which is the laburnum, or literally orange tree, and in the line from Galadriel's lament that reads, Yenni unnotime veramar aldaron, meaning long years numberless as the wings of trees. Not to mention one of the other names of Laurelin, one of the 2 trees, Malinalda, meaning tree of gold. So that's Nísimaldar. Now, Lairolosse is from Quenya Laire, meaning summer, and Losse, meaning white or snow white. Now we see that latter element, Losse, in one of the names of the mountain of Manwë and Varda, Taniquetil, as it is also known as Oyolosse, ever snow white, as I called it for a very long time after I somehow became incapable of pronouncing Taniquetil properly. Now, Laire, as summer, is also seen in Appendix D, the calendars, as the Quenya name for summer. And of course, we also see it in Oyolaire, but we'll get to that in a couple of weeks. Nísimalda is, not surprisingly, named in part for the Vala Nessa, the sister of Orome, who wed Tulkas. In Valaquenta, we read of her that she also is lithe and fleet-footed. Deer she loves, and they follow her train wherever she goes in the wild. But she can outrun them, swift as an arrow with the wind in her hair. In dancing she delights, and she dances in Valimar on lawns of never-fading green. Now, the Melda element in Nísimaldar simply means dear or beloved. Now, we see this at the very end of the chapter, Lothlorien, when Frodo sees Aragorn at the foot of Caern Amroth, clearly wrapped in some fair memory. We read that he spoke words in the Elvish tongue to one whom Frodo could not see. Arwen van Imelda Namarie. And that means, Arwen, beautiful and beloved, farewell. Now, Vardarianna is not glossed, but it seems to obviously include the name of Varda, the Valier of the Stars, and wife of Manwë, the High King. It seems that it also includes the element Anna, meaning gift, as in Yavanna, giver of fruits, and Anatar, lord of gifts. And then next up is Taniquilase. That's another one that should sound familiar, at least in part. Actually, both should sound familiar by now. The first three syllables are shared with Taniquetil, after all, which means high snow peak. But with the lasse ending, it's high snow leaf, with lasse being the Quenya word for leaf. Laurielantar lassi suranen includes the plural, like gold fall the leaves in the wind. Lasse is cognate with Sindarin las, which we see in Athalas, Legolas, and more. Now, following the pattern of Vardarianna and Nísimaldar is the last word on the list for these fragrant trees today, Yavanna Mire. As we've talked about a few times, the Mire element means jewel, and we see it in several places. Elendilmir, the star of Elendil, Miriel, jewel daughter, and another line from Galadriel's Lament, where we see its plural. Arhisie untupa calikirio miri oyale, which means, and mist covers Calikiria's jewels forever. Miri meaning jewels. So this last tree is the jewel of Yavanna. And folks, that is it for today's Word Nerd Wednesday. Come back next week as we wander the wide, wild, wonderful world of words weekly on Wednesdays. And if there's a word you want to know more about, please let me know by emailing barliman@theprancingponypodcast.com. Please visit patreon.com/Tolkien Times to learn how you can support the show, get an ad-free feed, join a monthly hangout with me, get a bonus weekly episode, and more. And then join me again tomorrow on today's Tolkien Times for Third Age Thursday. If you're watching this on YouTube, you know the drill. Like and subscribe. And please follow or subscribe on your podcast apps. Finally, follow @Tolkien Times on all your social media. And, of course, as Faramir says, go with the goodwill of all good men.